Good morning and welcome back to a
Good
Tuesday
morning.
edition of the Nudelberg Daily Huddle. We have more Nudelberg on screen today.
It turns out that Jules loves the bugle. As soon as he heard it, he screamed. He went,
Right now.
Look at his face. He's laughing.
Look at that. He's so cool, man. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We are grinding till the end of the month. Crazy, crazy busy, crazy good stuff. Lori out getting in the neighborhood, doing her thing. Mark, our meeting yesterday was one of my favorites in recent memory. And I shared that later on in the day when you went 37 minutes.
Yeah, it was good. We're getting more and more efficient. We're getting, that's the way teams work. You get better at communicating. You get better with alignment, knowing where people need to be, what they need to be doing. And similar to coming out of camp, the way everybody is right now in the NFL, we're doing well right now. It's good.
I know we don't normally do a sports show when Lori is around, but I thought your post this morning was timely, obviously realistic, poignant. There are 1,100 men that will get a notification that they're not good enough. That reminds me, of Mike Tyson's quote that everybody has a plan until you get blasted in the face.
Well, we make a big deal when, Zoom lays off a bunch of employees, or anytime any of these tech companies make like a massive firing. It's like this, oh my God moment in business that happens every year in the NFL. 1,100 people get laid off at the same time every year. And it's a sobering moment because a lot of that 1,100 are guys who are going through it for the first time.
Yeah.
They're guys that did really well in high school, did really well in college. And this is the first time in their athletic career that they're going to be told they're not good enough. And what a moment that is for people. And
these are men. These are not kids anymore. This is real life, real business, and there is an emotion to it. I watched and continue to watch Hard Knocks. It was a jet receiver that I was really rooting for. He got cut, man. It's like, now, to your point, he may make the practice squad, but the takeaway was one good game is not going to make that squad. You are dealing with the best of the best. And that's a realization at some point. And this is what I want the conversation to be short term. At some point, you have to be realistic about your optimism. Like, I want to do that. I just might not be good enough.
Right. Like, I might not be able to do it. I might not be able to compete at that level. And there's all kinds of circumstances that go into you not making it. And so, like, that to me is the point of what I said was that, like, you're either of a growth mindset in this moment or you're of a fixed mindset in this moment. And if you are of growth mindset, whether you're going to give it another year and you're going to give it a try again, and you're going to, whether you make the practice squad or you go to the XFL or whatever, you're going to find a way to continue to try to make it happen,
or not.
Or you'll say, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm going to go in another. Either way, those people will find a way to be successful. Whereas if you are of a fixed mindset and you thought that was your only opportunity and you get caught up in the moment of the failure, it doesn't matter what decision you make after it, you're toast.
I mean, learning to deal with failure and setbacks. I mean, Lori, forget about sports. All of us have dealt with some setback emotionally, physically, economically. And that's the real fruit of life is, okay, what now? What happens now? So I really loved it, Mark. Your posts are genuinely great. That one particularly put things into perspective. So thank you for that. I want to bring attention to last Friday. I did a LinkedIn poll, and a lot of the polls I see are complete bullshit. People just trying to fill content and stuff like that. I legitimately think of the questions, and the question that we posed was, what strategy do you believe is most effective for driving successful business development? I was hoping, candidly, that the other would be all of them.
Right.
I didn't want to put all of the above, so I said, Shay, put other and see who comments. So 80% said networking and relationships. I don't think there's a surprise there, but talk to me, both of you guys. What are strategic partnerships?
Laura, you want to take it?
Well, for us, in our world, that is our, I think we use the term to describe our corporate business partners who are, right, investing in JA
Right?
and strategically, right? They've got some strategic goals they want to accomplish, and, we're working with them as partners. So I like, if it was an individual, I would say they're a donor. But when it comes to companies or corporate,
Okay.
we call them strategic partners.
I want to jump in and share my thoughts on that. I'm a strategic partner of JA. You brought me on the board. I bring you all of my connections. Ross Calvert, who Mark and I know, from Gundy, this guy is freaking on fire. We bring Andrew on the board.
He's going after you for referrals.
He's competing with me for tables for Uno, man. We're both at 4, and Casey's completely up my ass going, hey, he's already at 4, man.
Casey's fueling the competition.
No, I love it. I love it. But, Chaz is a strategic partner.
Right.
Every single person is capable of having strategic partners. They are the people that you hang out with. Mark, comment?
Yeah, I think it's also like, in terms of our business, like Studio Now is a strategic partner of ours. They help us do our business really well, right? And we pay them to do business with them. But the people they do business with are also great referrals for us, and they create really good introductions on the other side. So it's people that you not only work with to be successful, but then help you be successful by who they introduce you to and how they continue to help you grow your business. So it's like, you feed yourselves on both sides of the table or something like that. To me, that's what a strategic partner is. It's somebody.
The important word in all of that is, what strategy are you using to grow your business? And people look at me like, what do you mean strategy? I'm calling, I'm doing whatever. You have to really think about it. You got to put it down on paper. You got to access the resources that are close to you. So I thought it was a great conversation. No surprise, everybody said networking. I could have put virtual networking on there, and that would have gotten 4% too, because people just don't get it. But anyway, let's wake this thing up. We got great content. Finally, we are going to get to the leadership stuff that Lori wanted to talk about for 3 weeks.
Love it.
Let's go, Shay. Wake it up. Wake up, everybody. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Wake up. Come on. Wake up, everybody. Teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more about the thinking, time of thinking ahead. Come on. So I just want to shout out Carrie. You're absolutely 1,000% correct. Michael Jordan got cut from his high school basketball team. 9th grade, he gets cut. He didn't allow that coach to define him. Thank God he didn't, because we have the greatest basketball player ever to live. Put that in your pipe, Mark and Jake, because I don't believe it's LeBron. So,
Yeah.
anyway.
Regardless, though, I think, and I'd shout out to Carrie, because she's here every morning and she's super engaged with the conversation, always adding great comments. So thanks for being a part of the Huddle, Carrie.
I agree. And I see Chaz is back here. If you guys don't know Chaz is just such a great story. He's an original huddler. And so it's good to see him back in the fold. He is the title sponsor of our Ultimate Night Out, which is for men and for women and all that kind of stuff. So you'll hear more about that in the coming weeks. But I wanted to follow up on yesterday's motivational music. I've been really, really into Leon Bridges, but Leon Bridges led me back to Sam Cooke. And so I did the research. I want you to see Sam Cooke.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, and just like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's up there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know.
So do you see Leon Bridges in him?
I hear Leon Bridges in him.
I didn't even see it. I just see the whole resemblance. Anyway, in the research, one of his best friends was Muhammad Ali. And
Correct.
him and Muhammad Ali singing together is just priceless. So my point here, and I write about it, I talk about it, I do it, is that music changes your mood. And we are moody individuals. I don't care what you say, what sign you're on. We're all prone to being in a mood. So I thought I'd bring Mel Robbins to talk about mood.
Here's a simple rule. Never, ever, ever let your mood dictate what you do. You have to take action first because movement changes your mood. If you want to be an author, write. And when you're done writing, your mood will be amazing. If you want to be a YouTuber, make YouTube videos, and your mood afterwards will be amazing. If you want to be healthier, exercise, and your mood after you move will feel incredible. Do not let the mood you're in now dictate what you do next. Act like the person you want to become. And when you start taking those actions and you start moving in the direction of your dreams and the things that you want and deserve in life, your mood will follow. It'll feel great. And you, my friend, will be getting it done.
But do you know why is the question?
So I think, when I hear that, and this is where I want you and Lori to jump in, is that your mood as a leader can be very defining. If people are not sure of how you're going to lead and they need to wait based on your mood, there's a tragic situation happening.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, you set the tone for the group, and the most toxic work environment that I ever lived in was with a leader that you did not know who you were going to get every day. You didn't know if you were going to get Jekyll or Hyde, and that created an environment where you walked on eggshells and you were afraid of what was coming next. And it's not sustainable, number one, even though we had success, not, I would say, to the potential that we should have reached, but we had success. And it was intolerable. Everybody wanted to get out of there as fast as they could, even though we were in a great situation.
Yep.
Lori?
Couldn't agree more. I work for a woman who you never knew what you were going to walk into every day. Was she going to be in a good mood? Was she going to tear your head off? You never knew. And I think that's absolutely true. I mean, I have to say, I walk into I'm not a yeller and a screamer anyway. That's not my style. But I walk in, good morning, right? And I think that is what sets the tone in the office, right?
So Jazz just lays a beauty down. Real leaders have big personalities and people feed off that mood. Yeah. For me, music, and he said this prior to this comment, music puts me in that mood. When I was listening to Sam Cooke yesterday, finding the song that I was going to play today, I listened to 10 minutes of that music. I was ready to breathe fire, and I felt alive and electric. And I imagine everybody that went to see Lionel Richie, the other night on Saturday night were probably the same. They were dancing on the ceiling, so you can affect your mood. You can change your mood. There's no reason to get stuck in your mood. And I said this to the group yesterday at United Way. I was really thrilled. Shay showed me the stuff I did at United Way. I had a great conversation with them about the state of high-performing teams. And it's your responsibility to get up to play the game. So it's this whole
this conversation goes so much deeper though. Like this has become part of my mindset training where I talk about dopamine, because I think all of this, I've always wanted to understand the science behind it. I've known it worked because I put it in practice, but I didn't know why it worked. There's really no explanation for why. It just is. You listen to the music and it gets you feeling a certain way, and then you feel motivation to act. And I think as a part of your mindset as a leader, whether you're responsible for motivating the people around you, ultimately you got to be able to motivate yourself to do that. Understanding what motivation really is and understanding how dopamine works in your brain and how all of your behaviors and your thoughts affect dopamine in your brain. I think that to me is truly understanding how to control your mindset and how to ensure you can motivate yourself and others consistently.
So I know that you did a lot of homework on dopamine. I would suggest that 95% of the population has no idea. They may have heard of dopamine. I saw and read through the presentation that you created. You up for doing that tomorrow's Huddle? I mean, that is just to talk about dopamine. I mean, do you think that there's enough value there to share with people?
Sure. I mean, I think we should definitely talk about the blog. I think we should talk about organizational excellence and developing culture, because
we can save dopamine for another time.
Yeah, well, and just I think it speaks to that. But I think talking about dopamine in our show, I think we should have that conversation. But I wouldn't want to present it. I'd rather talk about it. So I think if you guys listen to the Andrew Huberman conversation and we're all up to speed on the information that's out there on how it works and why it works, I would love to have.
So now you're giving out homework? Who the hell are you?
You know what? It's about time I gave something back to Lori. Like, Lori's been demanding things for the past month.
They have no idea. They have no idea behind the scenes.
Where's my whatever thing?
He is running the show behind the scenes. She is.
Bullshit.
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit?
So, Lori,
that is a good addition.
So, like, Jay's comment is so perfect because he says, like, different music has different effects on each person. It depends on the baggage you are dragging behind you. It really just depends on whether or not music is a trigger for you. If music is something that can create a dopamine spike for you, then yeah, it works. And it's the same thing that Mel talked about. Like, if you want to be a YouTuber, start making YouTube videos and your mood will change. Well, that's because you're taking action on something that you intrinsically want to do. And when you start to align with your behaviors with what you really want to do, that's what affects the dopamine in your brain, which then affects the way you feel and the way you operate. So, I mean, it all speaks to that.
And I think, music, what I love about music too, is that it can bring you back to a time, right?
1,000%.
Like the other day in the car, I think it was Boogie Wonderland came on, and I was like in the car, I was like, wow, it just brought back such great memories, right, from my younger days. And it just, I think it lifts you up, and it definitely, I thought.
It's funny. My question to you was going to be, Lori, do you have a favorite song?
I got a lot of favorite songs. I can't pick one song.
Give me a top two. Pick one. Pick one out of your top that you would just say is great.
Songs. I don't know. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I really love
Running Down a Dream, Tom Petty. Like, I don't care when it plays, when that song comes on, it's getting listened to and going back to a place. it will take me directly back to riding the bus at Florida State on the way to a game, and moments of thinking, this is what I had been dreaming about for 5 years. This is the moment that I wanted to get to, and I'm in it and living it, and the gratitude behind that.
I mean, this is weird, but one of my probably all-time favorites is The Prayer by Celine Dion.
Oh, wow.
But I
Awesome.
will tell you, it's one of my favorites because I cry every time I listen to it. And I play it over and over sometimes. And because it just reminds me of my dad. Right.
So
And
for me, it's interesting. I get up in front of these big groups and I always do something about music. And I ask people, I want you to stop for a second and think of your favorite song. Doesn't matter what song it is. And then to your point, Lori, that song brings you back to a time where good things were happening. You could smell, like when I hear the song Boardwalk, I remember going to Coney Island on the sound of the carousel, all of that stuff always brings you back. Is she busting my eggs again, man?
She is busting your eggs. That is correct.
By the way, I do want to go back. Chaz made a comment earlier. I can't see it now in the scroll, but he said leaders have big personalities.
Yeah.
I
was gonna let it go, Lori, but you can go ahead and get after it.
I thought that was very interesting that you said that, because we kind of talked about this on a recent show about introvert and extrovert, right? Can leaders be? And I don't know that I would say, I mean, yes, I'm definitely a big personality, right? But I don't think that every leader is a big personality.
Agree. You don't have to have a big personality to be a great leader. Now, it works out well. Most leaders who have big personalities, it plays into what they need to do to be successful. But I would agree that that's not like you don't have a big personality, so you can't lead in this organization.
I don't think that's what Chad meant.
Bill Gates does not have a big personality. And
correct.
Clearly did great, but
Jay's
crushing you too. You at the diner.
Jay,
he's telling a story about when he put a nickel in the jukebox.
He spent all that time in the car. I have stories about you, and you're not nice, man. What a great show, Lori. Would you believe that your piece of content got booted again?
You know what? Where's that whatever thing? Like,
I love it.
Jay will have whatever. So we'll save the dopamine conversation. We'll talk about the blog tomorrow. The blog is rich.
Culture.
So we will talk about that. Lori, are you joining us tomorrow?
If you would like me to, I would be more than happy to
go
talk
through this
culture.
every Wednesday.
I just said to the superintendent, I had dinner with the superintendent last night. I was telling Dad. And one of the things we talked about was, imagine what it's going to be like to change and build that culture at the school district after 4 years of no leadership, changing leadership, everybody holding on to their own little world and not worrying about anything else but protecting themselves. And so
imagine doing that every 2 years, Lori. Imagine doing that every 2 years. Imagine starting over every 2 years. That's what I did for a decade. Every 2 years, I was starting over. I went into a new organization that had struggled, that was terrible, and we had to, from the ground floor, build it back up in 4 months because you were kicking off for the season as soon as you got there. So it was. I mean, that conversation is why I love talking about leadership with so many people, because just when you do it that many times in that short span of time, you realize what's the foo-foo bullshit that everybody talks about in leadership and what really gets people to move. How do you really create progress in a short amount of time?
So it's really interesting. I just share this last tidbit because we're on it. In my conversation yesterday, one of the questions high-performing teams ask each other is, how do we communicate? How do we interact? And I said to everybody, I go, do you guys have a suggestion box? And half the people said yes, half the people said no. So they didn't really know. Somebody said it was there and it was removed 6 months ago. They had no idea. So I said, there really is no formal way for someone to say, hey,
I got an idea.
I would like to change the coffee. you know, whatever it is.
I got an idea.
It's unbelievable. It's so simple. So anyway, what a great conversation this morning. You guys are awesome co-hosts. Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow to talk about the OTB blog. And for now, it's get down to business.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business. Let's get down to business.